Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Monday night live stream where we talk about growing up, Generation X, 70s, 80s, and 90s, little before, little after, and wherever the conversation takes us. And as always, what we try to do, we I don't know if we always do it, but we always try to do it. Okay, that's the point. I mean, I should be getting an A for effort here. Is we try to do a podcast, and then the subject of that podcast that next Monday or the following Monday, we talk about that same subject, but then we get your interaction on that. And the last, not this the one that was released today, but the last podcast that we came out with had our good friend Dave Sunstrom on, which we're going to bring him on momentarily, and of course, as always, Thrash Pondo Ponds. But we talked about final episodes, the ones we loved and the ones that we maybe didn't like so much, and even the ones that we really didn't like. And what was the most interesting about all of that is ours were all different. They were all different. Like the ones that I thought that somebody that I loved was like, and the ones that they loved, they're like, well, we wouldn't, it's all a different perspective. So with that in mind, and we're going to bring on Thrash Pondo Ponds, and we're going to bring on Dave Sunstrom. Dave Sunstrom's breaking up a tad with us, so we'll see how long he's able to stay on with us. But Dave, how are you doing, my friend?
Good. Yeah, I've got a really horrible internet connection still, it looks like. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I might pop out and see what I can do and then come back. That I don't know how helpful this is.
I've so
Well,
been there.
you're sounding okay right now. So as long as it's
Okay.
not like absolutely horrible, when it starts getting super choppy or whatever, I'll let you know.
Okay.
And Thrash Pondo Ponds, you are with us as well. How are you doing, my friend? How's the East Coast treating you?
We're in drought conditions. I heard you guys have been getting a lot of rain, but a nice little thunderstorm is supposed to hit us tomorrow, so we're really optimistic. I want my grass to turn green again. It's only green in one spot. I guess you can figure out where that is too.
Right. Well, it's only green in one spot. I guess I can figure out where that is.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't. I
the
don't get
gr-
it. This is
the
this a local thing?
oh no, it's an old joke. The grass is always greener over the septic tank.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, we have central sewage, so I don't have a septic tank. So I didn't get
Lucky
that.
you.
I just shoom right over the top of my head. Hey, I'm going to do a few channel updates here with everybody. Just going to let everybody know what's going on, and we're going to say some hi to some people in the channel, and then we're going to dive in to our topic. But I just want to let everybody know a couple things, if I can remember them, that is. The first thing I want everyone to know is that I did get a better editing software. I've been telling people for a long time I'm going to be doing a 5 things you didn't know video, and I've kind of held off on those for a while. And I'm going to do that with the new software. So it's still going to be a little bit, but I'm going to get back to doing those shorter videos. So that's coming up, but it's just going to take a while. I really want to do it real well. So I'm learning how to use that. Hopefully by next week, we'll start those shorter videos again. And I was going to say something else. It totally went right out of my head. Went right out of my head. But before we get to our topic, let's say hi to some people in the channel. Thrash Pondo, who do we have in the channel?
Oh, we get a whole bunch of very important people in the channel. First one we have here is Daryl Johnson says, "Don't forget to hit like and subscribe." He does that on my live chats too. Yes, Daryl, thank you very much.
Thank you, Daryl.
Excellent.
Yes.
Tracy Ross Myers in the house.
Yes. Hey,
So at
Tracy.
Daryl, she says, "Hey, buddy, how you folks do?" As Daryl asked, it really means a lot to the YouTube host / poster.
Tracy just sent me some pictures of her in high school with John Cusack and Jeremy Piven. So that was really cool. Yeah,
Cool square.
it was really awesome. Emily, awesome.
Emily Miller in the house. Gonna try to be here. I did hit that button. Of course, she gives us her purple heart.
Purple
Emily,
hearts
thank
back to you
Purple
as
Heart.
well, Emily. Thank you very much.
Yes. Oh, and remember, Emily, I'm doing the live chat this Thursday, so I've been taking some rain checks from you. But please try to join us this Thursday on my live chat. Tom, the Hungry Jerk in the house says, "Hi, everyone."
Hey, Tom. Glad you could be joining us. Mr. Led.
Mr. Led says, "Hey
Mr. Led.
guys, don't know how long I can hang tonight, but I did hit the button, Daryl.
That's
Thank you
awesome.
very
Thank you.
much."
And thanks again, Daryl, for reminding everybody as well. And who else? Superplex.
Superplex, my name is Giovanni Giorgio, but everyone calls me Giorgio.
Okay. That's got to be
Okay.
is that from a commercial? Do you know that reference, Dave?
I don't. I was wondering if it was Zuper's name. I thought his name was Dave, though. So, and maybe it's a quote from something.
I think it's but everyone calls me, wasn't Giorgio like a, I don't know. Who knows?
I feel like I should know what he's talking about. He does that a lot. He'll say something, and I'm like, I feel like I should know what you're talking about.
Right,
But,
right. I'm just
but I
not
don't
that
know what it
smart.
is.
I'm just not that
Oh,
smart.
look who we got.
Hey, Dave. He's
Dave
here
Sundstrom
and
says, "Hey,
there.
everyone."
Here and there. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. The other thing I was going to say,
Oh,
that
no,
as
what was
everybody,
it?
I did finally get to 500 subscribers, 504 subscribers. So, yay! I'm halfway there. I'm halfway there. Please don't forget. Also, remember, I got those. I got it. Not only do I have to get 1,000 subscribers, I also have to get 4,000 hours of watch time, and I'm like right in the middle of both. I've got like 2,300 hours. I've got those playlists. Just let them play. Let them play on one of your alternate devices that maybe, just let them play through. It would mean the world to me. All right, what else we got going
We
on
have
here?
James Dye in the house who says, "Hello, everyone."
Hello, James. How
Hey,
you doing?
James.
And let's see. Oh, I knew he was here somewhere.
Kenneth.
Ken Wilkinson says, "Good evening, Tom." And I assume to us as well.
Isn't this
Yes.
cool? It's just like, like friends, right? All these
Right.
names. It's just like friends. Sure, a lot of these folks we've never met in person, but we know them. We know their personalities. It's just cool. It's really fun.
It really creates a community. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It really does. That you go, hey man, that's really cool to hang out with these people and to see them, and you kind of wonder when they don't, show up. You're like, you worry about them. You know what I mean? And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I get concerned. I'm like, boy, I haven't heard from this guy for a while. I hope they're all right. You know?
We really are a community. We really are. Oh, Briarwood Inn. Justin's in the house.
Yes. Actually,
Hawkeye,
speaking of somebody I reached out to, I did reach out to him not too long ago because I hadn't heard from him in such a long time. I was just like, what's going on? Are you okay? And he emailed me back and stuff. If you're a regular here and I have your email and I have contact information, I don't hear from you for a while, I'll reach out. People know. I mean, I'm just like, hey, I get worried. I don't know. I was just like, I hope everything's all right. All right.
and he says, Hawkeye trying to make every episode super dramatic while drinking homemade liquor while operating on people. He's referencing, of course, MASH.
right. Let's get
Sour
Danny
mash in
Staten
that case.
here. Danny, how
Oh,
you doing? Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. Tom Laramie.
Lemery says, "Hello, everyone."
Hello, everyone. And then
Uh,
Danny Staten says hi. And I think there was one from, I just want to do this one real quick.
okay, sure.
And then read
John
that for
John
us.
Collins.
John Collins says, "Hello to my warm and fuzzy friends, Ian, Bob, and the ultimate cozy warm fire, Mr. Sundstrom. I further extend my welcome to my fellow comment section compatriots. Hello to
Yes.
you all as well."
Right on.
John,
Right
it
on.
wouldn't be a live chat without you.
And did we say hi to Terrell? I wasn't sure if we did or not.
I hadn't gotten to him, but we can now. Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, "Hello, Ian Thrashpondo and Dave. Happy Monday. Before I get started, what are your thoughts on last week's passing of Olivia Newton-John?"
We can go ahead and start there. I mean, let's start there. If as people kind of come in, we'll say hi to you. But I mean, we can't spend forever saying hello. So we'll spend a good, few minutes saying hi to everybody. And as you come in and we see it, we'll say hello. If we miss you, believe me, these chats go by fast for us as well. We just we don't see everybody. So hello, welcome, and glad you are here. Dave, you're our guest tonight. I mean, we're talking about something very different in this question, but I mean, it's super good to talk about. What do you have any words or thoughts on the passing of Olivia Newton-John?
Yeah, yeah, and I think most folks that in this community have probably seen. I did a live stream the day that she passed, or that we got word of her passing, and then I've done a couple of follow ups too. For me, Olivia Newton-John was she was such a beautiful person inside and out, right? And
Mhm.
I loved her music. That's how I think most of us got to know her, was her music, and then her movies. Yeah, the movie Xanadu has a special place in my heart. I know most folks really remember her and appreciate her for Grease, but it's one of those things where I think as we watched how she handled all the challenges and all the obstacles in her life, and there were health issues, but there were other things, crazy stuff that happened, like a disappearing husband, failed relationships, but through it all being just this wonderful, strong mother to her daughter Chloe. Uh,
Mhm.
she was inspirational
Yeah,
to the
for
very,
sure.
very end, and what more could anyone want?
Mm.
You leave behind all these wonderful gifts in terms of what she did with her music and her movies, and then in addition, her actions that she did when she was off screen were also truly noteworthy.
Mm. Yeah, and it hit close to me, because she died of cancer, and my wife just recently, today is like the second month of her passing, and this month actually has been a lot more difficult than the last month. I don't know why. It's just hitting me harder this month than last month. So when Olivia died, I felt it in a wholly different way. And it just was like, oh yeah, I've know people who die of cancer, and it was sad. And I know she had mentioned Olivia Newton-John. They had mentioned about her that she did the medical cannabis thing, and what that kind of brings back, because my wife tried that. She hated it. She just they let her do it because obviously it was terminal cancer, and so they allowed her to have medical cannabis, and she just could not stand it. She could not. She and I was just like, well, it's different for everybody, what I mean. So, and you got to do what you think is work, and also what you think is tolerable as well. My wife did chemo, and she tolerated that way better than a lot of people tolerate it. A lot of people just don't tolerate it at all. She tolerated it really well, but for some reason, the cannabis, she just couldn't tolerate doing that. So, anyway, well, let's lighten the. Did you want to say something, Thrash, about Olivia Newton-John before
Oh,
we?
I think you gentlemen have just hit the nail on the head. I remember seeing Grease when I was a kid and had something of a crush on her. I thought she was a great musician. Loved how she was able to reinvent herself many times. She was a truly class act, a diva, and will be sorely missed.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, let's dive into today's subject matter, and while Thrash Pondo is looking for questions that are relevant or not relevant, I have to say that what surprised me the most about the conversation that we had, Dave and Thrash, was the fact that our favorites were not like, well, two, we had a favorite one together, the family ties one, but I was really surprised that you did not like the final episode of MASH, or you just thought it was meh. That
Yeah.
was surprising to me. And why was it that you didn't care for that episode?
Well, uh, anyone who has watched my MASH videos, you will know that I think I go at length. I take an effort to say that I enjoyed the first handful of seasons of MASH more than I did the final seasons. Now, there are other folks that it's completely reversed, right? They enjoy those final seasons more than the first three or four. But for me, those first three or four are just classic, and it's when it was still more comedy than drama, and I really feel as that show grew and matured, it became more drama at times than comedy, and so for that very reason, I think MASH and the everyone involved with the creation of MASH really felt like they had to deliver a powerful final message, when all I really cared about and would have loved to have seen was just a solid hour worth of heartwarming humor. So instead, we got the story told in flashbacks of Hawkeye's ride on the bus, and spoiler alert: it's not a chicken.
Right.
But I just didn't love it. I didn't love it,
Yeah.
and there are folks that really do.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? And hopefully we get to see from some folks what their favorite series finales were tonight too, because it's so much fun to, even when it's a show that you feel missed the mark in their series finale, hear why other people really loved it or really thought it was special.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was a little bit tragic, of course, myself. I mean, I'm like looking at it like, but I was a little kid. I didn't understand. I'm like, her chicken turned into a baby? Like, that is insane. Why is everyone crying? What do we got as far as comments are concerned? We got any relevant
I'll start.
comments?
Yes, we have Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, in my humble opinion, I think the 1990 series finale of Newhart is so iconic. The show is more known for its twist endings than the actual show itself. Spoiler, it was an 8-season long dream sequence.
Yeah,
Loved
yeah.
it.
We
Loved
talked
it.
about those dream sequences. Um, there were dream sequences that we enjoyed, and there was dream sequences that we did not enjoy. And I think everybody kind of liked that one. No. So, what else we got?
Because it was such a
Oh, go
perfect
ahead.
reference to another show. It just tied it in so perfectly.
Right.
Yeah. Justin the Braidwooden says, I thought the Golden Girls finale was phenomenal. A double-part episode with Leslie Nielsen at the peak of his career. Plus Stan returns again.
Any thoughts, folks, on the final episode of the Golden Girls? I don't even remember seeing it.
I haven't seen the final episode. I do remember Leslie Nielsen being on the show, but I don't recall the final episode.
Yeah, I don't either. Dave, what about you?
I don't recall it either. Truthfully,
Yeah.
I should. I love the Golden Girls,
were you a Golden Girls fan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When did that show get taken off the air? When did it finally get done with?
Late 80s? No, maybe even early 90s.
I was going to say 1991 jumped into my head, but I could be off a little.
No, you're right. I think you're right. That's when we moved to CBS and became the Golden Palace.
Yeah. Did you ever watch an episode of the Golden Palace?
Yeah.
I'd never seen a single episode. I heard it was not so good though. I mean, there's a reason.
I think it's on Tubi if anybody wants to go see what it's like.
Yeah. I have to admit, Golden Girls made me laugh, but it just was not my favorite. I think that, it was one of those shows that my grandmother watched, and it was on at times when my grandmother was there. But as far as like, oh, I'm digging this show, when it was, again, it was a show that when it was on, I would laugh, but when it was off, like I didn't miss it. I didn't miss it whatsoever. But of course, I was I was a teenage boy. Preteen, teenage boy, what do I care about Golden Girls stuff? You know what I mean? I probably missed most of their jokes. I might like it better now. What else we got, Thrash?
Zubablex, scamp that he is, says Dave has come down with T-Pons disease.
Yeah.
Horrible connection. Sorry, folks.
That's all right.
John Collins says, everyone knows I love All in the Family, but here's how it should have ended. Edith should have died on camera. Gene deserved one last Emmy. Everyone moves back to support Archie through his grief.
Mm-hmm. So, who here watched the final episode of All in the Family?
Wait, was that when it was?
I've seen it.
Bunker's Place?
Well, no. This was All in the Family. I don't. Edith was passed away by the time the show transitioned to Archie Bunker's Place.
And so it ended with her dying, like in the hospital or something. And
yeah, that's how I remember it. But maybe someone in our community can have us get our facts straight on this one.
What about you, Thrash? Did you see it?
Actually, no. I thought the show didn't actually end until Archie Bunker's Place, so I'm not sure what that last episode was. And Susan Burns says, I couldn't bring myself to watch the finale episode for many years. I'm an emotional wreck with certain things. Oh, and hello, Susan, of course.
Hello, Susan. I think she must be talking about the MASH episode.
I'm certain of it.
Yeah, yeah, she's probably not talking about any of the other episodes. Okay, what else we got?
Let's see. Oh, we have 420 in the house. Speaking of the medicinal
I know.
weed,
Well, our recreational use.
John, I agree. I also wasn't a fan of the spin-off much. I'm assuming he's talking about the spin-off of Archie's Place, which for some reason as a kid I thought was just a rebranding of the same show.
Right,
Oh,
right.
Superplex has a goodie. The Mary Tyler Moore Show had a memorable finale.
You guys are bringing up a bunch of shows that I didn't see the end of. I've seen the shows, but I think they were all a lot in syndication when I watched them. I even remember MASH already being in syndication by the time the finale came on because we'd watch MASH every night. So, and as a kid watching MASH, I had no idea how it unfolded. I didn't know. I didn't know that this person left and this person showed up. And, a lot of times you'd miss a couple episodes and somebody else would be there. So I had no idea. And the Mary Tyler Moore Show, even more. I watched the Mary Tyler Moore Show. It was a lot of fun. Was I a dedicated fan of the Mary Tyler Moore Show in the 70s? When it aired? When did it go off the air? By the 1980 or something like that?
78, 79. Yeah, around there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm what, 7 years old, something like that. 5, Oh no, yeah, 4 or 5. So yeah, it's all in syndication by the time I'm watching it anyway. So,
Have you seen it, Dave?
Have I seen it?
Yes.
Years ago. I mean, I vaguely recall the ending with them all coming out and hugging and all those kind of things. But, that's the thing is I love seeing the comments and everybody sharing their favorite memories and the shows that, really stand out to them. But I suspect as we read these comments, there's going to be a lot of ones that we may be vaguely familiar with, but we just really can't comment on that much other than to read their comment and share it with everyone else.
Yeah.
I do remember it was very sad because they basically all get let go. And one thing I thought was very, very slick, both Rhoda and Phyllis had their own spinners at that point. And both of them in turn invite, because, well, now there's nothing for you here in Minneapolis. Phyllis says, come stay with me on the West Coast. And Rhoda's like, no, stay with me on the East Coast. So I like the fact that they sort of like just tied the whole universe, the Mary Tyler Moore universe together. I thought it was nicely done.
Mm.
But it was sad because they all get let go. In fact, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, please, but I believe even Ted, who is the one that they say could stay on, and with solidarity, he, in a surprisingly camaraderie way, says no, if they go, I go, and it was nice to end him on a high note because he was such a sleaze.
Well, he went to, didn't Ted go, the actor, go do his own show? Wasn't he wasn't he that show where he's a writer and he has like a Jack Tripper
Too Close
kind
for
of
Comfort. He's a comic book writer or comic book artist.
But he's a different person.
Yeah, it's a different person, different character. Okay.
I think he had a show in between too where he plays a judge or something too.
He did. It was the Ted Knight Show.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, he's one of those actors, quite honestly, that like he's so himself that it's hard for me to differentiate the character, from it's just like he almost plays like the same character, in my opinion, anyway. But what do I know?
Except when he's the narrator on the Super Friends cartoon.
Oh, is he the narrator on the Super Friends cartoon, laying down some knowledge?
He has a great voice.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Yes, that's what I remember. Choo choo choo.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Super Friends, did you like keep that one up? You can keep that one up.
Okay, thank you.
Did you like the Wonder Twins better, or did you like the dog and the two people better, Dave?
I wasn't really a big fan of any of the youthful sidekicks. I wanted hero action. and
Yeah.
those were always there for comedic effect. You had Wendy Marvin and the Wonder Dog, which were kind of like Scooby Doo kids, and then you had
Yes.
Zan and Jaina and Gleek the Wonder Monkey,
Yeah.
and all of that stuff. I just get them off screen because I just wanted some action and adventure.
You want to see the main guys do
That's
what
right.
they're
I was
good at.
watching it for Batman primarily, with a little bit of Wonder Woman and Superman on the side.
Right, right,
Aquaman was
right.
cool too.
He was cool.
Aquaman's underrated. Aquaman's underrated. He's pretty cool, but he certainly didn't. I mean, later they got the hawk guy, the guy that could, the guy and the girl, wasn't it? They could fly.
Hawkman and Hawkgirl in that primarily that was in the much later Justice League cartoon.
Yeah, yeah. I did enjoy Batman. Was probably my favorite. It's hard for me to like Superman, although I did like this last incarnation of Superman. And the reason why it's a little bit harder for me to like, well, of course, when I was a kid, I loved the Christopher Reeves, but as an older adult, he can just do too much. You know what I mean? It's just he's too invincible. It's difficult to really, I don't know. When somebody can do too much, it's hard to like it like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, let's go with the new comments here.
Susan Burns says my fave was Seinfeld for sure.
That was an appropriate ending. What did you think, Dave, of the ending of Seinfeld?
Wasn't my favorite, but it was one that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
So it was. I don't think I categorized it as man. I thought it was good.
It was
It
good.
wasn't
What
my
about you?
favorite, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was good, and for what it was, right? That's what I do appreciate about that is it didn't try to be anything more than what it was, which is a show about nothing. These horrible people, and you know what? They get their comeuppance.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
Thrash,
it
what do you
does.
got to say?
It finally confirms what we've already known, that they're really, really terrible people. Do they deserve to go to jail? Well, maybe in Massachusetts, because it takes place in my home state. I believe they made up the town, but it was somewhere in the Berkshires that their plane gets forced down in. But this new Good Samaritan law, I'm like, yeah, I can see that. And they certainly did. They deserve some sort of comeuppance, and I thought it was just very nice the way it went. And the fact that they got like literally everyone over the entire run to come and say, "Oh yeah, they ruined my life, and they ruined my life, and they ruined my life twice." The guy, not Babu, the gentleman who they convinced to open the Pakistani restaurant that it bombed, and then they got him.
Oh
deported.
yeah.
What was
they
it?
destroyed his
You're a
life
horrible
twice.
person, Jerry. A horrible person.
You're a bad man, a very, very
You're
bad
very
man.
bad man.
We got a good one here from Dan Staten. Worst last episode ever would have to be Lost. Well, entire worst last season.
Well, I hate to disagree, but again, I loved Lost from beginning to end, and I even loved. I know that with some people they really loved it, and with other people they really, really hated it. And I actually really liked it. So I'm sorry, I'm a dum dum. I know, I know a lot of people didn't like it, but it was by all means, as far as a drama goes, one of my all-time favorite shows was Lost. So I liked it, but I know that a lot of people just did not like it. And I saw it live, I saw it when it came out. It just was like, whoa. And then they did was it Jimmy Fallon? No, it was somebody else. I can't remember the guy's name, but he had a nighttime show immediately afterwards, and they had some of the cast of Lost, and they even had Marilyn Manson was in the audience, and Marilyn Manson had made his own picture of the guy who turns out to be the bad guy, John. I forgot his name, but yeah. So I watched that too, and we were all just sitting there stunned. It took me a little while to sort it out. I have to say that it took it because when it hits you, something hits you. You like, for me anyway, it takes a little while to go through the mainframe and download and then make all the pieces fit together. But when it all did, I really appreciated it. So I'm just one of those. I think I'm in the minority, but I'm one of them who is in the minority. Now, Dave, I know you didn't watch Lost.
No, I did. She didn't. I know she didn't like the ending.
Oh no! All right. All right, Thrash Bondo, what did you think? Did you watch it or no?
Well, I'll introduce thusly. I loved Lost until they brought Michael back. I couldn't watch it after that. I'm like, in 5 seasons, you wrap up one story arc and then you bring him back. I can't do this. I can't. There's been no resolution of any kind in all these. I can't do it. So I'd actually tuned out. I was familiarized with the final episode, and it sounded like a bit of a cop out, but they painted themselves into not just a corner, so many corners. There was really no way you could possibly end that satisfactorily. That you just couldn't do it. There's like no logic at this time.
Yeah, well, I was on board with it, and I think one of the things that they did say, because I was even reading like Entertainment Weekly and stuff when it comes to that, they did paint themselves into a corner a bit, and there were some explanations that I don't know, might have seemed hokey, but at the same time are a little brushed over. They also said that they didn't want to pull a Star Wars where you're over explaining everything. Like you got midi chlorines and stuff like that to try to explain the force. And they wanted it to end with some, they were saying this anyway. Who knows whether or not, they're just saying this in retrospect, trying to cover their butts. But they were saying that they wanted it to be more mysterious than scientific, more mysterious than wrapped up. And they did quote the Star Wars, over explanation of midichlorians and the virgin birth with Anakin Skywalker as kind of being like what they did not want to go toward. So whether or not they did it successfully or not, whatever. What else we got? I'm sure
Zerplex has a good one. He says, I remember the final episode of Get Smart. Maxwell Smart had to combat a gorilla turned into a human.
right.
I don't think it was a true series finale, though. It was just like another episode, right?
Yeah, didn't it
I'm not
just
sure.
get taken off the air?
Yeah, I think it was one of those. And correct me if I'm wrong, community, but think it was. I think they weren't. It's great when a show has notice and they're able to create a series finale, and that typically happens when a show has a very long run and they are well aware that it's coming to a close. In the case of Get Smart, I think it was one of those shows. Someone was mentioning Star Trek in the chat, just like Trek, right? It got canceled by the network, and there was no real closure for either show. And would there need to be on Get Smart? I don't really know, because it's one of those things where each episode's just a fun little frolicking lark in the world of espionage.
You don't really have too much of like an overarching, you got to pay attention to this little detail because it's going to make sense later in 4 more episodes or the end of the series to carry it through. Every episode was one of those, was kind of self-contained. And I loved Get Smart was one of my favorite shows that I got to watch in reruns, obviously. And even like the was it made for TV movie? Was it?
No. Well, there was the Nude Bomb, which was a feature film.
Okay.
And then there was The Return of Maxwell Smart, which was a TV movie.
I remember the Nude Bomb.
Yeah.
And I think that was on I think maybe that was on HBO or something like that. And I remember it because at the end they're running away and their hind ends are showing. And that made a big impression on me when I was a kid, especially the girl one. So I was excited. Anytime I had an opportunity to see nudity at that age, I was all for it.
Well, I think that's just natural, right? I don't think any of us are horrible for when you're going through the throes of, changes in your life to be excited about that stuff.
Yeah, no kidding. Right on.
I remember for years talking about 60s light-hearted comedies having last episodes. For years, there was a rumor that there was a last episode of Hogan's Heroes, which took place at the end of the conflict. And we find out that Clink has actually been working for the German underground the entire time, and has actually been, for culpable deniability, Hogan couldn't know this, but Klink has actually been acting incompetent to let Hogan get away with his many machinations. And at the end, you find out that Klink wasn't just an incompetent doof the whole time, but he in fact had actually been Hogan's greatest ally. And I searched for that for years. It became almost an obsession. And it doesn't exist. But
No.
oh, I wish they had made it.
That's an awesome
wish.
backstory, right? That would be an awesome way to have it conclude. Both Klink and Schultz really being kind of like helping them. That would have been so cool.
I always thought that, to me, that was, MASH meets Gilligan's Island. They could do all this. That's kind of how I saw it. And I loved it. I mean, I did. It wasn't something I watched regularly, but every time it came on, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. But again, it was one of those things where they have all this technology and it's all hidden, but they can't get out of prison, kind of a thing. But that's what makes it fun. I mean,
Well,
that's what makes it fun.
Because remember, the reason they kept most of the heat off was because there had never been a successful escape. If any of them actually escaped, the Germans would do some digging, literally, and try to find out what was going on and uncover the whole operation. In fact, there's a great episode where they try to order Hogan to escape for some reason. They want him back in England or whatever, and he's going to do it. But at the last minute, they're like, "No, you can't do this." And it's because there's also a great one where Colonel Crittenden is actually, he becomes the commanding officer, and he's forcing Newkirk and Larry Hovis and Andy to the escape tunnel, and he's driving them crazy. And Newkirk says, "It's enough to drive a man to escape." And the fact that they know they can't escape, but now they're thinking about it because I gotta.
Well, that's an interesting spin. Because I didn't know that. When I'm a kid watching it, you don't know those backstories, so that's cool. I still would have escaped if it were me. I'd be like, "Look, I'm sorry, it's gonna blow, but I can't be in jail. I got to get out of here. Peace out." After a few years, I'd be wanting to get back home to my family.
Can't blame you. Can't blame you. Oh, we have a good one here from Justin the Briarword. It is. How many people were disappointed with the ending of The Sopranos? He eats onion rings and listens to Journey, then fade to black. Horrible letdown to a highly acclaimed series. I have a theory, but I'll let you guys go first.
I didn't like the ending either. I mean, but I didn't like. I was just like, whatever. I saw it all in reruns too. Like I saw it all in reruns, so I was able to kind of binge watch through it. And the last season was a little bit spotty for me, but I don't know how it really unfolded. I'm trying to think of how it really unfolded, but I remember the last episode, and it just fade to black. The kids park in the car. He's in eating onion rings, and that's it. It's over. So I really don't. I mean, to me, it was just like I didn't have an opinion. I'm a void on it. Were you a Sopranos fan, Dave?
No, I didn't watch it. So.
Yeah. Okay.
I shall sit here silently as you guys pontificate.
All right. Well, Thrash, you're up, man. Let's hear it.
I didn't watch it religiously, and everyone told me that I should have, but I did enjoy the show. It was on against something else. I work nights, so it's hard to actually watch all of them. But that last episode, it got me thinking. I mean, clearly the ending is that he was executed. Someone killed him. And we've been watching the show through his perspective all these years. When he dies, you have no perspective. So, I mean, I suppose they could have done an I, Claudius thing where, okay, now I'm dead, I can reflect and look back and maybe even see things from a detachment. And that could have been cool. But I kind of like the fact that, like, boom, you're bye-bye. You don't find out what happens after you're gone because, sadly, you're gone. And so, and if you were killed suddenly, that would be how it would be. So I actually thought it was innovative. Did it really work? I don't know. But then again, how could you really end the show with a happy ending? You couldn't end The Sopranos with a happy ending. You knew he was going to die eventually, and I thought that was a slick way of doing it. But
is that what it was?
That's my theory. They never actually
Oh,
explain it. It just ends. Um, Again, he's in like a greasy spoon, and he just kind of looks over, and there's another guy just sitting there by himself, but facing him,
yeah.
and there's this like unspoken moment, and then he turns back to eat his onion rings, and "Don't Stop Believing" is playing, and it goes "Don't Stop," and it goes black, and
Hmm.
then you wait for the picture to come back, and it doesn't, and I just kind of went, "Oh yeah." He turned around, and the guy just went, "Bam, bam, bam, bam," and that's the end.
That's the end. Yeah.
That's the end.
Well, all
Oh,
right. What else? What
we got
else we
that,
got? Us.
oh, we have many gots here. We have Mr. John Collins in the houses. Dave, please further discuss why I hated the ending of Golden Girls. Add in my reasoning is because the show had wonderful writing, making the women feel uh,
Dimensional.
fully dimensional and whole. Then to the end on that BS.
Questions for you, Dave. So, did you
Yeah.
understand it?
Uh, Not really. Other than so B. Arthur no longer wanted to be part of the show, right?
Mm.
And so they had to create an ending where the ladies separate, and there's changes to all of their lives, and of course the hotel that the ladies open up, some of them open up with new characters. It's one of those things where it's much like Three's Company when it moved to Three's a Crowd. You have all these changes at the end that don't really feel authentic and genuine to the characters in the show. And so for that reason, I mean, I think there probably would have been better ways to handle it. Probably the best way to handle it would have been to just have the show end. B. Arthur was done, and the network didn't want to get rid of the cash cow. It was still a very popular show, and so we got the Golden Palace. But I think we only got it for. Excuse me, I say the network didn't. The creative team, because they moved over to CBS because they got paid more money to move the show to CBS. So it's one of those things where I think it probably could have been a better, more true series finale if they hadn't been trying to pave the way for the spin-off show.
Mm. Yeah. I think the problem is when you have such a good a show that making money.
Yeah, and John points out in the comments, he says it's the marriage of Dorothy. And we talked about it on another stream earlier. I wish my memory was super sharp and I could remember all the points that you made, John. I can't, but
Mm.
that's it. It reminds me a little bit of, you get these romances that don't actually feel right, and characters go off and do other things so they can be written out of shows.
Right, right. Well, when you have a successful show and it's pulling in money, um, the networks don't look at it as art. They look at it as cash, and it's it's sad because you for us we look at it as art. We look at it as not just entertainment, but we look at it as we're involved with these people's lives, and we don't want their lives to end lameo. We want it to end well when we have to say goodbye to these shows. And the problem is you just get so few of that actually happening because people want to continue it. So you get the Golden Palace, or you get Scrubs Next Generation, whatever. That next little season of Scrubs is just like, just end it. Just let's just end it. And I know that it's making money, but there's something to be said. I wonder if they worry about the fact whether they're going to make money again or something. It's just like, look, you're going to do okay. NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, you're going to do okay. It's going to be okay. You're going to have another show that's going to make you a lot of money. So don't worry about it. Let's be artistic
Well,
in some of these
there's
endings.
there's more to it than that too, though. I mean, it's like in this case, the show did move to another network. It moved from CB or NBC to CBS, and I think what really was at play here is it's the creatives that really didn't want it to end. Aside from B. Arthur was done, so they marry off her character to Leslie Nelson. I can't remember his name, but
Yeah.
they wanted to give her a happy ending. Uh,
Mhm.
but in doing so, again, I think it just didn't feel authentic, genuine. But it's, I mean, Betty White, Estelle Getty, they all wanted to keep going,
Yeah.
right? They still wanted. It's not just the networks or the production team. It's the actors too. They wanted that steady paycheck, and I understand all of that stuff.
Yeah, and I know there's probably more than one factor in any decision, and so I was probably overlooking the actors, thinking, hey, I'd like to still continue this character. I think this character has more stories to it. That's got to be considered too. But at the same time, when you lose a B. Arthur on a show like that, it's like it's look. You can't have Nirvana anymore that Kurt Cobain's gone. It's
Yeah.
over. You
Yeah,
gotta
Susan Burns has a comment in here. She says it's like as fans, we don't want it to end. There's this loss,
yeah.
but we have. I think sometimes there's goodness in letting a show end,
Yeah.
and when a show has the opportunity to do it right with a true series finale, all the better.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. I like that with, they knew that Arrested Development was going to end. And of course, they brought it back for two more horrible seasons, unfortunately, on Netflix. But that show ended well. That was a terrific ending. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to see the ending of Arrested Development, but if you just take the first three seasons, you don't count those last two seasons at all, from the very beginning to the very end, it's a perfect ending to that show. But even shows when they know they're going to end, they don't have time to wrap everything up. It just you just got to end it. And then they make the stupidest decisions. Scrubs was one of those things. They John Dorian and
Sarah Chalke's character.
yeah, they just should not have gotten together. It's okay. Sometimes the main guy and the main girl don't get together. That happens. I think everybody's trying to recreate the Ross and Rachel thing or something like that. Everybody's trying to recreate that. They don't want a sad ending. It's just like, well, sometimes endings are sad. That's all there is to it.
Oh,
Oh, BK on the air.
BK says hello,
Hey,
folks.
Him and I
Betty,
are collaborating again. Actually, he's gonna be back on the show here fairly soon.
That'll be
I was
awesome.
on the radio show last weekend on
Yeah, I know.
Saturday.
I
Uh,
gotta.
hopefully BK will Barry will post that to YouTube in the next 3-4 days, and when he does, I'll make sure to share the link.
Oh, please do, please do. Now, and again, if you're into nostalgia and and you're not watching and you're not listening to BK and you're a YouTube fan, I mean, listen to BK. I mean, I know if you're on YouTube, you're probably more of a YouTube person than a radio person, but let me tell you, BK has got the show, man. He is an excellent show. Please subscribe, please. It's great. And listen. So he's going to be back on. All right. Enough of that. Let's go. Go ahead, Thrash.
Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, I do understand why not many people feel about the way St. Elsewhere ended almost 35 years later. The last episode revealed that the whole show took place inside the mind of an autistic child.
Yes. Yeah. I wasn't happy with that ending too. We said that I think the one ending that we had that was happy, that was an imaginary in somebody's head, as we already said, was the show's going out of my head. Help me, guys.
Newhart.
Newhart. Yes, Newhart. But the show that but this was one of them that happened in somebody's head that we did not enjoy. I think it was all around, wasn't it? You didn't enjoy it either. You guys didn't
No, I
enjoy it
didn't
either.
enjoy it either. I thought it was silly. I yeah, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
We got Tom Lemery here says, Kenneth, Robert Reed's agent called and said that Reed didn't want to do the last episode. Sherwood told Reed and his agent he didn't have to.
I'm not sure I understood that. What was
The
that again?
Brady Bunch. I guess they mean the last
Oh,
episode of the Brady Bunch.
yeah.
Reed had totally checked out by the end, which is
Yeah.
funny because they came back for how many different incarnations later on, but he was like just gone. He was done. And apparently, he told Sherman Schwartz he didn't want to do the last episode, and Schwartz went, "Okay."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he was not happy with that kind of work, from what I understand. Dave can probably fill us in on this a little bit better, but Reed was more of a play actor, serious
Serious
actor.
actor. He was a serious actor. He would, each of those episodes, he would torture Sherwood Schwartz with notes and requests. And, this is a lightweight, silly, popcorny kind of family TV show that, this is Sherwood Schwartz. He signed on to a show that was created by the guy that did Gilligan's Island. It's going to be, lightweight fare, and Robert would just send, he'd take his script and pepper it with notes and hand it back to Sherwood with like, you need to fix this, you need to fix this doesn't make sense, all this kind of stuff, to the point where, and I think I saw it in the chat earlier, when it came to that final episode, Sherwood just said, "Hey, you take a hike, Robert.
Right. Take a hike.
Go away. We'll figure out what we're going to do with you if we have a season 6," which mercifully they didn't. Now, the funny thing is, though, Brady Bunch variety show rolls around, mid-70s, right? And Robert Reed's all in. And the reason he's in is because he loves singing and dancing.
Oh,
in
okay.
addition to being a serious actor, he loves singing and dancing. So he decided, he could put up with all that crap. Plus, it was a different production team. It was Sid and Marty Krofft. But he relished the thought of getting together. By the way, Robert Reed loved those kids.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We all know Robert's backstory. He didn't have any children of his own, and he loved those kids. He took them on trips with their families. This was nothing, he took them on trips. He spoiled them as if in many cases they were his own children. And so just the fact that he had issues with Sherwood didn't mean he didn't love working with that group of actors. He really did.
Yeah. And I get it too. He has a vision for what he wants for his career. And this is going down the wrong road. I mean, if you were like a serious musician and you're writing your own songs, but your cover band is doing phenomenal, and you're covering, the one hit wonders, you're just like, this isn't me. I mean, yeah, it's paying the bills, but I want to do something more substantial. And I get that as an artist. But they did, they wrote him out of that last episode. Boy, I sure wish Dad was here to see me graduate.
He was actually on set.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. He was shocked that he was told he wasn't needed for the episode, and so he showed up on set. And I think Sherwood had him escorted away at some point. But yeah.
Oh, really? That's a bummer. By the way, I am getting into my book now. I'm finally writing the book. I got it open. I've got everything laid out. And the very first, after I do the introduction, the very first chapter is "Girls Are Better Than Boys." And I'm just taking all the things that I learned, all the ones that I learned growing up, and the examples that I give like, 2 or 3 examples from 70s, 80s, and 90s TV shows on each chapter. So the first chapter is "Girls Are as Good as Boys." And one of the examples that I use is when Marcia tries to join the Frontier Scouts. So I'm basically summarizing. I've seen that episode now about 7 or 8 times because I'm trying to summarize the episode. But Yeah, that was a good. That was a that was hilarious. That was a good one. It made me fall in love with the Brady Bunch all over again. I really did love that show, and I thought they were all great. Yes, go ahead, Thrash.
That episode always stayed with me because the only time you ever see either parent lay their hand on one of the kids. Do you remember the scene I'm talking about?
In the
Where she joins
liberation
the
of Marsha
Frontier
Brady.
Scouts. The one where she joins the Frontier Scouts. I'm not sure
Yeah.
what the name of it is. Greg has to leave a trail for her, so her and the
Oh
Scoutmaster can catch
yes,
up with
right.
them. And he goes, "Oh, I left the trail.
That's
Just
what it
some
is.
of the notches are a little small." And
Yeah.
he's like rolling on the ground laughing. And his father takes a stick and right up on his backside. And I was kind of
Ah.
like, he hit one of his children. I mean, my father hit me all the time, so I was used to that. But I never saw it on TV. It kind of threw me for a minute. I mean,
Right.
he doesn't wail on him, but he gives him a good little swat right on the backside. I'm like, holy cow!
Right. Right. Right.
I mean, even on the Andy Griffith Show, the one time Opie ever gets spanked, it's done off camera. He just tells Opie
Ah.
to wait in his room, and he very somberly follows him there, and then they cut to a commercial, so we never actually see the corporal punishment. But yeah, so that one has always stayed with me all these years.
Well, right on. Right on. All right. What
Oh,
else we got?
BK on the air says I was totally satisfied by the end of Game of Thrones, but streamed it through to the end after the series was over. Never got to watch GOT when it originally aired. Same Page Club. I binged watched it during the pandemic. My wife and I watched it together.
Mm-hmm.
And
And I know a lot of people hated that end episode. Did you like it?
I thought, how should I put this? I was disappointed in the twist, but I was not disappointed that it was poorly written. I'm like, oh, come on. Now? I mean, does anybody, I suppose there's no worry about spoilers. Dany, the blonde queen,
Mm-hmm.
goes nuts and rides her dragon through the city, destroying it, and ends up having to be, I don't want to say executed, but they kill her. And it's kind of traumatic, but again, it's Game of Thrones. You can't have a happy ending. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of cool. The surviving characters, the ones that were left, all kind of go on to do something else. Arya sails a ship to lands unknown, and well, it kind of wraps up nicely from that point on. I just thought, I mean, it did make sense that Dany would be traumatized after all her experiences and might go off the deep end. It was just sort of it kind of broke my heart a little bit. A lot of people were very angry. There's stories that young women who had babies were naming them Dany before they saw the last episode, and then changing the baby's name because they didn't want her to be named after Dany anymore. I'm like, that's a little extreme.
Yeah, that's a little bit extreme there. Right on. Did you ever see Game of Thrones or no, Dave? I've never seen it either, so I have to take everyone's word for it. Never watched an episode of it. But
I
I
hear
was
there was a
going.
lot of I hear there was a lot of murdering and pillaging going on.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
it
was.
was super, super violent, and there was a lot of adult themes. And there's a certain word, which is a naughty word in England, but not too bad, which is a really naughty word here. And they say this certain word a lot. And my wife would just gonna be like, every time they said it, which would cause me to. But yeah, it's super violent
Yeah,
on many levels.
I Game of Thrones. Leave it to Beaver. I'm always gonna go with Wally and Theodore.
Right. Leave it to Beaver. Probably me
Kind of
too.
a wide gap between those two extremes, I gotta
A
say.
little bit, and on many levels as well.
Just goes to show what I'm gonna pick to watch.
Right. I'm with you, Dave, on that one. I mean, I like some modern stuff as well, but I mean, I just keep going back to watching the same stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I know
Didn't
what
you
I
say
like.
that at some point we're gonna do another one of these on modern shows that we enjoy? Ian? 'Cause
Modern shows
we do have a few that we like.
we
right?
do. Well, I mean, we're gonna do that live at your house.
Oh, that's right. That's what we're gonna
Yes.
do. Okay.
Yeah, that'll be our episode live at your house. So, yes, that's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
Let's see. BK on the air goes on to say Star Trek TOS always the best. Enterprise was great too, but their final episode was kind of a cosmic cop-out. I consider the original cast film their grand finale with Star Trek 6. I'll buy that.
Yep, totally agree, Barry.
Yeah, I don't. Wasn't the end of the Next Generation? Wasn't it like something with Q or something like
Yeah.
that?
It was
Something.
a follow-up to, well, Q made multiple appearances throughout the series run, but it really harkened back to the very first episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, where Q made his first appearances.
Right, right. I do remember that. I do remember that. That was a great
And
show. Go ahead.
and here's one we got to read to the record. I was so ashamed. I thought about this after the fact, and I'm like, I can't believe we didn't really talk about it. BK on the air says one of the best TV final episodes, The Fugitive, a Quinn Martin production.
Mm.
And I can't believe we didn't talk about it. I love that show. And of course, as you guys know, I'm always going on and on and on about how all modern U.S. American TV science fiction is really The Fugitive in some type of science fiction-y backdrop. So the fact that that never occurred to me, I'm ashamed of.
The Incredible Hulk, The Fugitive.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Planet of the Apes.
Wasn't that a movie, The Fugitive? No, I'm kidding.
Yes. They did make a feature film, yes.
Yeah, no, I know they did a feature film, but I thought that'd be funny. Like if I didn't know what it was, I'm like, isn't that just a movie? Isn't no? There was somebody who did that actually. It was one of the I think it was Tabitha Swanson from MTV, and they were outside when Mission Impossible came out, and they had the original cast of Mission Impossible at the premiering at the Tom Cruise place at the Tom Cruise film, and she did not know that there was a TV show, Mission Impossible. She didn't know, and she was making an absolute fool of herself. She asked one of the actors, she's like, "Well, this is cool to see you. Why are you here?" And the guy blew up at her, and I believe it was Tabitha Swanson, and she literally didn't know that there was a TV show called Mission Impossible with all these actors there. So the star of Mission Impossible showed up in the TV show, and she
Peter
was
Graves.
like, "Oh, yeah." Yeah, and she didn't know why he was there. And she asked him, "So, it's really good to see you. What brings you to this show?" And she wasn't like being ironic or funny or anything. And the guy, I guess, just laid into her about her idiocracy. So I was trying to do that there. I was like, "Wasn't The Fugitive? Wasn't that a movie?" Anyway, all right, didn't work out. I guess you had to know the background.
Well, it's great now that we know that's a great story. Actually, it's tragic and sad, but great story. Kenneth Wilkinson has a question. What did you think of the ending of Hill Street Blues?
Well, I'm going to have to defer to the two of you because I have no idea. I didn't watch Hill Street Blues a lot when I was growing up, and so you're going to have to take. I know Thrash, you've got a lot to say about the last episode, so go
Yeah,
ahead.
I didn't finish watching it, so it's all you, Thrash.
Well, if you recall, I was the same way. I remember I tuned in during that last season, and the guy skiing, I think the guy's name is, he was the father of Doogie Howser. He played one of the lieutenants in Furlough's precinct, and he's now a sergeant. And I go, "Oh, was he demoted?" And the guy was watching it with like, "No. Apparently, he was never lieutenant. He just fantasized about it. And now, in reality, what they did was he was promoted up to sergeant." And I go, I don't care how indulgent Furlough was. He would have never let some kook cop pretend to be a lieutenant and actually lead missions on several occasions. I don't know if they call them missions in the police department, but actually lead various raids and whatnot over the course of the show. So that just it was up there with, oh look, JR's brother's back. It was a deal breaker for me. It shattered the Hill Street Blues universe, so I just stopped watching. So I actually never watched the last episode. So I'm in the same boat you guys are in.
Oh, I see. All right, so none of us have a comment about the last episode of Hill Street Blues then.
Unless you want to take that whole last season as the finale and say, don't consider it canon. Or fire it out of a canon.
Right.
Let's see what we got going on here. Oh, here's a good one. Oh, someone who knows a little something about Three's Company. Brian Woodin says, Three's Company was the biggest letdown for me. I mean, did one of the producers date Mary Cadet or something. No reason to have Jack go with an unknown and Janet leave with game show
Game
host.
show host. Yeah, the way they tied their characters up, I didn't care for. The final episode for me though was heartbreaking. I did not like the direction that they went, of course. But I mean, it was one of the, and I mentioned this before on the live stream. Um, the heartbreaking thing for me was when Mr. Furley left and he just paused for a second, almost as though he was going to turn around and then just walked out. And for me, it was just like, like I try to fill in the best I can in my mind what he was going through. And well, at least the character. Okay. I mean, obviously he's a character. But sometimes when the last time you're going to see a person or the last thing it's going to happen or whatever, and it's really sad. You almost don't want that to happen. You almost want it just to be like a normal day. You don't want to turn around and look for the last time. You just want to walk out, just like it was the normal. It's just like on the episode of The Office, when the last episode with Michael Scott,
Oh, yeah.
where he was leaving that day, but he told everybody he was going to leave the next day because he wanted it to be just like a normal day. And I think that was a little bit of what Mr. Furley was going through. As he walked out, he paused. He goes, well, do I look for a last time or do I just walk out like it's every other day? And he just walked out. And that was, even at that young of age, I felt that. And so that part I really did resonate with. I really did love it. I didn't like the way they got the characters. They left the characters for sure. Was not a fan of that. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. I know it's a little mouthful, but I think I said it better this time. Now that I had time to summarize it rather than off the top of my head. But that's what I meant.
We talked about it at length in the other video, so I won't say a ton more, but I totally agree with Justin. Horrible ending.
Yeah.
One thing I found, this is more of a behind the scenes situation. One thing I found fascinating was a lot of people said they wanted Jack to end up with Janet because they would have been the perfect couple. Susan Summers actually had it stuck in her head that she was actually going to come back and be the new love of John Ritter, or Jack Tripper, I should say, in Robin's Nest. And the network went, nip. No, we're not doing that. But she had it stuck in her head she was going to. That she came back and she loved him and they were married. Just
the woman was, I like Suzanne, but that's a delusional thinking.
Did that really happen? Did she really think that? Did she really?
Try?
I don't know. I don't know if she thought it or not. If Thrash says she did, I'm sure she did. But she had burned all the bridges with those people, the creative team at Three's Company. She wasn't coming back.
No, but I liked your idea, Dave, of having the show now where Janet and Chrissy are single, and that they live together in an apartment, kind of in their more gold, with Jack, and then Jack being remembered. Oh yeah, he died, and then maybe some happenstance. They meet at the funeral, and they both don't have a place to live, or one person, however you would write that. I think that would be a great idea.
It'd still be done. Come on, Suzanne, Joyce, make it happen.
Yeah, I'm sure they're big fans of my podcast.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they're watching tonight.
Yours too. Yeah, yours. They could.
I'm sure they're watching tonight. Come on, girls, ladies.
And I heard somewhere there was an idea that Janet would be actually the super in the building, much like Mr. Furley or the
like
Norman
that.
Fell was. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought so too. Yeah. Let's see. Ziplik says, Danny, I remember Soap ended with a cliffhanger. And Danny Staten says, even after all these years, I'm disappointed that Soap ended when it did. I would still be watching it if it was still on. Loved that stuff.
Soap was a great show. I didn't get to watch. I've got it on DVD, and I'm sure it's streaming somewhere now. But before streaming got big, I bought it on DVD. And the reason why I bought it on DVD is because somebody said that Arrested Development is really a mixture between Soap and another show. I can't remember the name of the other show. The Royal Tannenbaums. that's a movie. And they said this is kind of like Soap meets the Royal Tannenbaums is kind of how they pitched it or how they described it. And so, me being a big Arrested Development fan, I went back and started watching Soap again. Didn't get through it. I just wasn't able to make it through it, but I'd watched it and was on. Um, Benson as well. I watched that when it was on. I didn't know it was a Soap spinoff when it was on, so I didn't hate it. So I know everybody else hated it because it was a Soap spinoff, but I didn't know that when it was on. I was just like, oh, this is a good show. So
yeah, I'm sure a lot of folks will disagree with me on this, but I liked Benson better than Soap.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because, like, again, I watched Soap in reruns, obviously, not even knowing that it was reruns. And I watched Benson, not even knowing these things, just as it comes on and as I'm in front of the TV. And I have to say, I like Benson too better at the time. And I don't know about now. Maybe if I went back now and watched them both, I could kind of see how one's derivative. But at the time, I thought Benson was great.
Yeah, me
this
too.
is a hilarious show.
Big fan of the entire cast of that show. And I mean, it was more your traditional situation comedy, which for me at that point in my life, it was just more digestible, easier for me to watch.
Yeah, right on.
Well, my mother wouldn't let me watch Soap. It was a little too risque for me.
I wasn't allowed to watch it either. Let's be clear. I snuck a few episodes, but I wasn't allowed to watch it. Out here in Salt Lake City, as a matter of fact, they did not broadcast it in prime time. They pushed it out past the news later on. And simply because of, some of the themes, and which these days, I mean, they seem tame, but back then it was controversial enough that our local ABC affiliate pushed it out past, it was like 10:40 or so. It would air East or Mountain Time here, the way late.
Yeah.
James Dies goes on to say Magnum PI had a finale where he supposedly died and the fans were in an uproar, so they had him pull through and go for one more season. I read something about that.
Yeah, do you know about that one, Dave? Or
I hadn't heard that. That's news to me.
Well, isn't that the one where he was in the morgue for like 45 minutes and then he snaps up? I don't know. I remember that episode. I do remember that episode because Magnum PI was it was a little too adult for me, but it was on a lot. My mom really enjoyed it, and so it was on. But that was one of those shows that I paid attention to out of the corner of my eye. As I got older, it got more interesting. But I do remember one episode where they had him dead, and they had like this afterlife scene, and then he shoots up not out of the coffin, obviously, but out of the slab, and he comes back to life. He was dead and gone, and they're like, "Oh, you've been dead for like 45 minutes or something like that." So, yeah, I don't remember.
Crazy.
I don't remember where that was in the line of the episodes. You know what I mean? Hey, Movie World
Comics says hello, everyone.
Hello. I'm gonna jump ahead here because I see this here. But you stay where you are, Thrash Pondo.
Oh, okay.
You stay where you. I just saw this here, and it says, "May I ask a big favor? Can you please do a video showing the space where you do videos at a tour of your set? Videos, if you will, so you can get more full dimension feel." Yeah, I don't know if you're asking just me or you're asking all of us or whatever, but for me, well, the last one was a little different because it was in an extra room and there were kind of books everywhere. But now that I've moved it into the bedroom, I could do that. But honestly, what you're looking at is it. I mean, there really isn't. I'm just in a corner here. I'm shoved in a corner with the desk, and I mean, what you see behind you is it. Probably the only thing that is a little that you can't see, and this is why I didn't go get my dogs that last time, is because the space between my desk and the wall is real tight, and so like I kind of have to scoot my like kind of scoot in sideways to sit in my chair. So there's not a whole lot to see. I don't want to disappoint you, but kind of what you're looking at is really that's really kind of it. My computer's not going to be able to move a whole lot. See, there's my dresser there. There's my killer picture that I got for my birthday. That's me as a Jedi with my dog Grace. So that's awesome. But anyway, I'd be willing to do that. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, little break but needed. What do we got going on, Thrash?
Let's see. A lot of people talking about things we've already talked about. Mr. Reed, particularly. I think we're like kind of behind it. I think there's been like a lot of fellowship and people chatting. So people are
Yeah.
responding to things that we've actually moved on from. And I apologize. I've tried to keep on as much as possible. But here's one. Here's one from Movie World Comics. What were your thoughts on the two Brady Bunch movies from the 90s?
Dave, you go, and then I'll go, and then Thrash can go, or whatever.
I really enjoyed the first one. I thought it was a fresh take on and fun from a humor standpoint. Second one, not as much. Just I think sometimes sequels have diminishing returns.
Yeah.
And then they did another one with the same cast or most of the same cast, which was a TV movie, which was okay again. But I thought the first one was really good and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. What about you, Thrash?
I actually never saw the second one, so I can't speak to it. But I thought the first one was like a perfect. I don't know if farce is the right word, but it was like Austin Powers. You could tell the people who made it loved the TV series because there was a certain authenticity to there to go along with the parody. And I thought it worked very, very well. So I did really like the first one.
Yeah. I love the first one. The guy who played Greg Brady in that was in a sitcom where in the sitcom he kind of it's kind of like I don't remember the name of this sitcom. Somebody out there, they might remember the name. It was very much it felt like Growing Pains, and he very much played a character that was a lot like the Kirk Cameron character in Growing Pains, except for there was a daycare in the house, but the parents kind of looked like the parents from there or whatever. But this kid in this TV show before the Brady Bunch movie loved the Brady Bunch. That's what he talked about. And in that show, in that television show, this sitcom, he has a dream sequence where he's in the Brady Bunch. And I'm kind of wondering whether or not that was because then he's playing Greg in that same kid's playing Greg in the Brady Bunch movie. And so I think that was might have been the basic idea to start the movie or whatever, or maybe he landed the role because of that. But but before he played Greg Brady, he played in a television show where he had a dream sequence where he was in the Brady Bunch playing Greg Brady or playing somebody in the Brady Bunch, maybe an ancillary.
Brady.
Yeah.
And they got a bunch of the Brady kids to be on it. In fact, Marsha's on it, and she's like out to here pregnant. And they're going to great lengths to try to disguise it because she was pregnant.
Do you remember that television show?
I do. It had.
It was like Day by Day. I think it was like Day by Day.
That. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And
I'm looking at his. I know who you're talking about. It's Christopher Daniel Barnes,
right?
And so I thought because I remember it as well too. And gosh darn it, IMDb. Maybe I'm just scanning past it, but I can't find anything that rings a bell.
Is it? But it's. I think the show's called Day by Day.
That sounds right. Day by Day. You're right. Ross Harper, 1988 to 1989.
Yeah.
And let me think. That was. Nope. Okay. You're right. It's a Growing Pains kind of show. Looking at the cast here.
Yeah. Yeah. And the girl, obviously I forgot her name, but the girl who played Marsha Brady, they did a bang up job on her. As a matter of fact, the real girl who played Marsha Brady, Marie McCormick, said, I heard her in an interview say one time, because they were talking about watching that show, and she said that when she was in the movie theater, she literally forgot that she was not watching herself. In other words, she thought that there were times in the show
Wow.
where she really did think, oh, these are like, she thought she was watching herself. She just kind of forgot for a little while, and she said that that girl looked so much like her and did such a good job imitating her that she forgot that this was another actress and that they weren't just watching old shows. So good. I love the first one. The
That's
second one I liked too, but of course I didn't love it. It was just a little derivative, cash grab kind of a thing. But I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. Okay.
Mr. Wood says Robert Reed starred in a horror movie back in the early '60s. Was that the one that was actually? It was an English. It was actually a BBC TV series, and what they did was they edited episodes together and turned it into an anthology.
I have no
That
idea.
if that's the one you're talking about, it's really creepy. It's this young couple. They move into this like new neighborhood in England, and you find out that all the people living there are like Satan worshippers. And this one guy sort of controls everyone, and he basically pulls them into this very dark. If that's the movie he's talking about,
It is. It's called Bloodlust.
Oh wow. We're almost having a Robert Reed fest, Brady Bunch fest tonight.
It is.
You're talking about the Brady Bunch. We could go on about that show in particular all day. So that's
Absolutely.
really cool.
There was a lot of conversation in the chat around Robert Reed. I was corrected, as a matter of fact. Robert Reed was married and had a daughter.
Oh, okay.
And then he came out, and so, but he did actually have a daughter, and so there was. That's what I love. I have been at moments distracted by the conversation in the chat. It's just been so good tonight.
Yeah.
It's a pity we couldn't get to it.
I'm sorry, it's all of them. I mean, and then plus, we're gonna wrap it up here in probably a few more minutes, just so everybody knows. I don't like these to go on more than an hour and a half. I mean, that's hour and a half's plenty. We just can't get to every comment, unfortunately. And part of what we do here is not just go through every comment, but take a comment, riff on it, talk about it, say something about it, whatever. But we have a time for a few more comments. Let's hear it. We've got some more of them.
I just went past one because I was busy listening to what you were saying. Let's see. Movie World Comics says, did you guys ever watch the two Growing Pains TV movies from the early 2000s? If so, what did you think of them? Sorry.
I did watch the Growing Pains movies from the early 2000s, and I know that I watched them, and I couldn't tell you a thing about them. So that tells you how memorable they were to me. But I do remember. That's like the Facts of Life movie. I'm like, I don't remember. I mean, I know that there was a Facts of Life TV movie, and I know I watched it, but I couldn't tell you about it. So I'm sorry. I wish I could say more. Yes, I watched it. Growing Pains was one of those shows that I really did like. But again, toward the end of it, I just wasn't really watching TV at the time. So I kind of got out of it before it ended. I just remembered in my in my book, it's going to come up, but what, like racism is wrong. I'm going to be using an episode of the Growing Pains that taught me, if you didn't already know that racism was wrong, that's why you have TV, because there was a guy who hired Mike to work the day shift instead of the night shift because he was white and not black, and that was wrong for him to do. So the Growing Pains did teach us some very valuable lessons. That was one of them, and that is going to be coming out in my book. Mr. Belvedere taught me about AIDS and other things I learned watching TV.
Can't wait. What's your ETA? What do you think? 3 months? 6 months?
It's difficult. I'm actually at the end of another book right now, but it's a theology book. And I'm trying to sew that up before I jump head first. But as soon as I jump into it, I'm really at the end of that book. Like I'm almost done. I'm done writing it. It's just being uploaded to Amazon Kindle Direct. And when I get done with that book, finally finished with it, I'll jump into it. I'm kind of doing the other one on the side, but it should not take. I'm tackling like 4 or 5 different subject matters in it. Like, okay, so first one is girls are as good as boys. Second one is it was cool to be a Republican. Third one was I know that I don't want any comments in that. I'm telling you, in the 80s, if you were a Republican, you were cool. Just ask Alex P. Keaton. Okay, I'm not making any comments at this point. Just leave me alone. But I'm just saying, in the 80s, it was cool. Johnny Depp in 21 Jump Street was a Republican, and the other episodes I'm going to go through, racism's wrong. I forgot it. I'm just going to be basically laying these things out. Reading, everyone should learn to read. That's going to be a chapter, and I'm going to be just pulling from different television shows about that. So anyway,
John Collins wants you to do an audible version too.
I might read it. That would be cool for me to.
Yeah, that would be great. I know there are a lot of folks actually in our community, Ian, that they listen more than they actually see these days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah,
I could read it for you.
There you go. You've got your narrator. He's right there.
I think that would be awesome. I think I would read it though if I wanted to read it. I think it would be me.
Of course, it's you. Yeah.
But if anybody,
you can read my book when I do it someday.
But I'm hoping though. But I'm hoping that when I actually start it, it'll be 3 months. It should not be that hard, difficult, right? It's just I got to make myself do it as well. So. Those are the sad facts about it.
Oh, John Doe. Hello, John Doe. John Doe has a
Hello,
good one.
John.
Really liked the TV show Dinosaur. It was weird and funny to me, especially I was deep into dinosaurs, which I never grew out of. And any of you actually see the last episode of Dinosaurs?
No, I did not. But I
did. They die, right?
It,
That's the when they all die.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
It's well, they're dinosaurs,
Yeah.
But yeah, they accidentally bring on the extinction event. BP Richfield, the company that the main character works for, and it's surprisingly traumatic. I was watching it and I was like, it was like very, very, very sad. They're trying to explain to the baby how, well, there's not going to be a tomorrow, and it's really sad. So that's a great final episode that I'm glad someone brought up.
Mm-hmm. Right on.
Okay, I am seeing all this meteor talk in the community. Hey, Ian, did you hear that meteor that flew over Utah a couple days ago?
No, I didn't.
We had a meteor fly over so low that it created almost like a sonic boom. It was covered by national news. It was like 3 days ago. And that when that boom happened, fragments from the meteor fell to the ground. And there's actually folks out there looking for those fragments now because we're being told that they're going to be very valuable. But we had a very close call with a meteor here in the great state of Utah.
Wow.
Someone said something about one being over Boston. A couple days ago, I did see one over my pond, over Ponce's Pond. I did see a shooting star.
I'm guessing it was probably the same one. It just got a little closer as it got to, across the country here.
Yeah. No, I didn't hear about it at all. I'm so disconnected from news.
Danny says that they're saying that the meteorite hit Utah. I don't know if I think it, if whatever hit was very, very tiny and small at that point, but there's fragments and chunks out there that folks are looking for. I'd never heard a boom like that before. It was crazy.
Well, it must have been closer to you than it was to me. A lot of people think, well, we're in Utah, we're close. We're not. We're like 4 or 5 hours apart. So
yeah, there is a little bit of distance.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Utah's bigger than all of New England put together. All of it.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
It's I do have people asking me sometimes, well, do you ever stop by and see Dave? I'm like, I saw him once, like 3 years ago. Like, I'm going to see him again soon. That's I'm going to see him again soon here. So yes, I look forward to that. Let's wrap this up. I'm sorry we can't get to everybody's comments. That's just the way it goes. But Dave, what do you got going on over at your channel?
More of the same. That's the thing about the channel is I don't think there's a lot of surprises over there. Apologies to all of the community members that have been a little bit disheartened and disappointed by the erratic nature of my live streams. That's
Mm,
probably the first thing to go when I get pretty busy, because I don't want to, the actual creation of the videos. That's kind of the bread and butter. That's what the channel was made on, and that I still really am committed to publishing 2 to 3 of those videos a week. And so when things get really hectic, the live streams the thing that gets cut. So huge thank you, Thrash Pondo, Bob. I appreciate you immensely for stepping in and filling the gap there when I'm unable to. I know you're planning on doing it again this Thursday, so thanks again. And then hopefully next Thursday I'll be back. So thanks to the whole community for their patience with me as we work through the bustling final days of summer here.
right, right.
Only a week and a
Uh,
half left.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Sending boys off to school.
yeah.
It's always tough.
Thrash, what do you got going on?
Well, the big thing, of course, is I'm Dave's surrogate host for this Thursday's live stream. All welcome. It'll be 8 o'clock p.m. East Coast time. Please join. Please join. Um, Other than that, my wife was on vacation last week, so I didn't have a lot of time to put out new material last week. It was the first time we had any time together like this summer. But I have a litany of things. People want more creepy classics, then I get more creepy classics. Um, People want more dad jokes, then I get more dad jokes. And I have a couple film retrospects. I was recently just talking with one of my favorite film sci-fi farces, homages, the stuff. I watched it
Mhm.
again the other night, and there's just so much in there. I'm going to do a whole retrospect about that. If you haven't seen it, watch my retrospect first. You'll love it, and then go out and watch the movie. So I got a pretty full plate for the rest of this dwindling summer, you might say.
Well, that is awesome, and I want to thank both my guests for joining me tonight. Well, my co-host and my guest for joining us tonight, and thank you all as well for all your comments and sticking around. Again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit the Patreon link if you want to support the channel. Hit the Venmo link if you want to give a one-time donation. It all means a lot to us here. The best thing is to hit the like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. If you haven't already liked and subscribed and shared, I am at 500. I'm over 500. So I don't. They haven't given me a community page yet, but I'm as soon as I get a community page, then you'll be able to know firsthand. Like sometimes, like I can't, like I can't make a live stream or something like that, and if I have a community page, I'll be able to put it up there. Hey, no live stream tonight, or I'll be able to put up recommendations to videos that I like and things like that, and links and things. And so I'm super excited about that. And the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to right now is I'm going to be, God willing, of course, God willing, I'm going to be going up and visiting Dave the first week of September, and we're going to be doing a live show on his channel from his house. And it's going to be awesome. I'm just looking forward to getting out of where I'm at right now and seeing some friends. Seeing some
Let's
friends.
hope this internet's a little bit better when you're up here, Ian.
Yeah, well, I think your internet does pretty good, and it cleared up here at the end, so that was good. So,
I'll try to
yeah,
keep the boys will be all off in school, so maybe who knows? They're probably all down there streaming and doing all sorts of crap right now.
right, right,
They're
exactly,
troublemakers.
exactly. All right, everyone, thank you. Take care,
Thanks
and
for the invite, Ian.
yes, we will talk again.